Hey guys, so the new Forgotten Realms, Heroes of Faerun and Adventures in Faerun books came out this week, and I've slowly been going over all the new subclasses introduced into the book, and today I'm going to be going over the Spellfire Sorcerer. If you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Warners. I make a ton of D&D content here on YouTube, but also on Patreon, I come out with a monthly PDF with a 2024 rules compatible subclass, and this month I plan to come out with the Inquisitor Rogue. I have a bunch of subclasses already available, so if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and check my Patreon down below. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the subclass. Alright, so we have the Spellfire Sorcerer, wield raw magic. One thing I'll say about this subclass before I get too into it, the new 2024 rules base sorcerer is really strong, and so I think that's important context to realize when going into this subclass breakdown, because honestly the beginning features are kind of underwhelming, but you have to remember how strong the base sorcerer is. So let's go ahead and get into it. We got this pretty cool art. This looks like a gnome. What's cool, she has like a cool spear staff type thing, and then you can see the spellfire in her hand. Pretty cool stuff. Your innate power stems from the source of magic itself, the weave. This connection manifests as a rare ability known as Spellfire, and you surge with a radiant burst of this raw magic. Your talent with Spellfire allows you to heal allies, sear enemies, and absorb powerful spells. Wielders of Spellfire tend to have a penchant for wandering. Many travel between cosmopolitan settlements, such as those along the Sword Coast, and wield their magic in service of the common good. Others realize their own strange powers by roaming equally strange lands, from the magic-blasted wastes of the desert of Anna-Urok to the god-touched wilds of the Old Empire. Wherever they go in the realms, Spellfire sorcerers are courted by factions with interest in the arcane arts, such as the Harpers, Cult of the Dragon, and Red Wizards. So at level 3 we get Spellfire Burst. When you spend at least one sorcery point as part of the magic action, or as a bonus action on your turn, you can unleash one of the following magical effects of your choice. You can do so only once per turn. And for context, when you first start out as sorcerer, you can only use meta magic once per turn, but later on you're able to use it twice per turn, but this effect is still once per turn. So bolstering flames, you or one creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself gains temporary hit points equal to 1d4 plus your charisma modifier. And then radiant fire, one creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself takes 1d4 fire or radiant damage, your choice. So bolstering flames is kind of nice. I'm getting a little tired of temporary hit point abilities in this game, but yeah, 1d4 plus your charisma modifier. Since you're a full spellcaster, you're probably going to get your charisma maxed out pretty quickly, so you're looking at a minimum of 6 temp HP, and then potentially getting all the way up to 9, which at level 3 is pretty good, but it quickly is outpaced and isn't really that much. And then radiant fire, 1d4 radiant damage or fire damage is also very low, but remember, this doesn't really have a resource cost. You're going to be using sorcery points anyway, so it's just a little extra things on top, and you get to choose between two different things. So not an amazing ability, but not a bad one. And then we have our Spellfire spells. Remember, sorcerers don't get to pick as many spells as other spellcasters, so the subclass spell list is pretty important. We get Cure Wounds, Guiding Bolt, Lesser Restoration, and Scorching Ray, all really good picks. Keep in mind too, sorcerers have the new Sorcery Incarnate ability, where they can automatically have advantage on all of their spell attack rolls, and Guiding Bolt and Scorching Ray are both attack roll spells, so that's really cool. And then there's a new spell that's specifically themed as Spellfire that they could pick up. It's kind of a shame it's not on this spell list, but that's also an attack roll spell. So you'll have a bevy of options of attack rolls that you'll be able to make at advantage, so that's nice. Lesser Restoration is better in 2024 rules because it's a bonus action, and then obviously we know that spells like Cure Wounds is now basically double the healing as it was in 2014 rules, so yeah. Then we get Aura of Vitality and Dispel Magic at level 5, both really good spells. And then level 7 we get Fire Shield and Wall of Fire. Fire Shield I feel like isn't as great on a sorcerer because for it to do damage you're gonna have to be hit, but Wall of Fire is a super solid wall spell, and so I like that inclusion. Then level 9 we get Greater Restoration, really nice to have on a sorcerer because they normally don't get access to it. And then Flame Strike is not a great spell, but again, this is for free. It's a worse fireball. So yeah. Level 6 we get Absorb Spells. You always always have the counterspell spell prepared, which this is a spell that I feel like most people pick up anyway, so it's nice to get it for free. Additionally, whenever a target fails the saving throw against a counterspell you cast, you regain 1d4 sorcery points. So I think this is a really good feature, but I hope your DM has you fight spellcasters often, because if you look at the new monster manual, there's a lot of monsters that maybe did cast spells in the past and now they don't cast spells anymore, or they cast spells less often on their stat block, and they tend to do more stuff like magical effects. And yes, counterspell works differently now, but I still think it's pretty good. There is some shenanigans you can do with this where you can counterspell your ally and they choose to fail the saving throw, and then it doesn't consume a spell slot, since that's how counterspell works now, and then you just get 1d4 sorcery points for a use of counterspell. But I don't think people are going to do that often, and it is shenanigans, so yeah. And then sorcerers, like a lot of other spellcasting classes, they don't get a subclass feature again till level 14, and so I want people to keep in mind that most D&D games are played at level 10 and below, so we need to evaluate subclasses with that in mind sometimes. And I feel like if you're only playing this character to level 10, it's definitely a solid sorcerer subclass and it offers a lot of versatility, but it's not like that strong in my opinion. But then we get to high levels and I feel like things get pretty good. So let's go ahead and go with level 14, Honed Spellfire. Your Spellfire Burst improves. You add your sorcerer level to temporary hit points gained from bolstering flames, and the damage of your radiant fire increases to 1d8. So you're adding 1d4 plus your charisma modifier, which is going to be like around 7, plus your sorcerer level, which you're getting this at level 14. So you're going to be in like the 20-21 range of temporary hit points, and you're basically able to do that every single turn, giving you or an ally like 20-ish temporary hit points. That's really, really, really good, especially because it doesn't have any extra cost. You could just be temporary hit pointing everyone all the time. The damaging option I feel like is nice, but 1d8 at level 14 is still not a lot, but it is kind of free anyway, so might as well. And then all the way at level 18, we get Crown of Spellfire. When you use innate sorcery, you can alter it and infuse yourself with the essence of Spellfire. You gain the following benefits while this use of innate sorcery is active. Once you use this feature to alter innate sorcery, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest, unless you spend 5 sorcery points, no action required, to restore your use of it. So that's nice. You can use sorcery points if you would like, and 5 sorcery points is kind of expensive, but you get a lot of cool stuff for it, so it's probably worth it. You get Burning Life Force once per turn. When you are hit by an attack roll, you can expend a number of hit point dice up to the maximum equal to your charisma modifier, minimum of 1. Roll the expended dice and reduce the amount of damage from that attack equal to the total rolled. So a nice damage reduction ability. Flight, you gain a fly speed of 60 feet and can hover. That's nice, especially that you can hover with it. You don't have to worry about falling as much. Then we have Spell Avoidance. When you are subjected to a spell or magical effect that allows you to make a saving throw to take only half damage, you instead take no damage if you succeed on the save and only half damage if you fail. You can't use this benefit if you have the incapacitated condition. So this sorcerer at high levels becomes oddly really tanky, especially against casters, and I feel like spellcasters are definitely a usual end game villain, and it also works on magical effects as well, so that's important to note. So yeah, I think that if you're playing in a higher level campaign, this sorcerer subclass becomes really, really good, and I really like it a lot. They even added this extra art for Spellfire takes many forms, and so it gives you some recommendations of how you could theme your Spellfire, and that's pretty cool. I like that they added this. So overall, I think the Spellfire Sorcerer is a pretty good subclass, but definitely way better in a higher level campaign. Let me know what you think about the Spellfire Sorcerer. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.